How does one of the world's top agents get business? We're going to talk about that today. Stay tuned.
This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. How many homes are you going to sell this year? Do you have the right tools? Is your website turning soft leads into interested buyers? Are you spending money on leads that aren't converting? Well, Real Geeks is your solution. Find out why agents across the country choose Real Geeks as their technology partner. Real Geeks was created by an agent for agents. They pride themselves on delivering a sales and marketing solution so that you can easily generate more business. Their agent websites are fast and built for lead conversion with a smooth search experience for your visitors. Real Geeks also includes an easy-to-use agent CRM. So once a lead signs up on your website, you can track their interest and have great follow-up conversations. Real Geeks is loaded with a ton of marketing tools to nurture your leads and increase brand awareness. Visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod and find out why realtors come to Real Geeks to generate more business. Again, visit realgeeks.com/keepingitrealpod. And now, onto our show. Today's episode is brought to you by Corded.io. Are you looking for agents to join your brokerage or team? Now, as a real estate recruiter, I can tell you the answer is always yes. But most agents aren't looking to move right now. So how do you know who to contact? Well, what if I were to tell you there's a recruiting and retention tool powered by artificial intelligence that shows you exactly which agents in your local market are looking to leave their brokerage right now and which agents at your own firm are also looking to leave you? Now, I've been recruiting realtors for 15 years and I've hired over 2,000 agents. I can tell you with no exaggeration, this is the tool I've been waiting for. Corded's AI looks for trends across dozens of variables for each agent in your market and shows you which agents they believe are likely to move. Not only does it do that, but Corded's AI went and visited my recruiting website and read everything I offer. So now when I'm recruiting, Corded's AI tells me exactly what to say based on that agent's needs and what my brokerage can offer. It even writes emails for me. I've never seen anything like it, and I use it every single day. Now, if you are looking to grow your brokerage, Corded.io is the best tool out there. Visit Corded.io to schedule a demo. Again, that's Corded.io. And now, onto the show. Hello and welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through this show. And in just a moment, we're going to be speaking with one of the world's top agents, Ben Bacal. What a fun episode this was to record. I want you to pay particular attention to the way in which Ben prospects. It will most likely surprise you and hopefully inspire you to maybe do the same. Also, we have just launched a new video series, short form video series called AI Agent Minute. We push these out every other day or so on all the different social channels. So find us, Keeping It Real, on all the different channels. Hit that subscribe button every other day. What I do is I post a AI prompt that either a top 1% agent told me that they use themselves or one that I am crafted for you to use. You could drop right into ChatGPT to take your business to the next level. I would appreciate that. Let me know what you think about those videos, and let's get right to it. My conversation with Ben Bacal. Piece of advice you ever received in real estate?
The best piece of advice I ever received in real estate is you can find two ultra high net worth clients, and if you can maintain those relationships for your career, that could set the base for you just to take off forever.
Yeah, makes sense. Oh, wow. Definitely excited to hear more about that. Worst piece of advice you ever received in real estate?
My geographic farm is more than two areas when I started real estate. That would be the worst.
Meaning you should have only had one or you should have expanded.
No, only had like one
Yeah.
or two.
Yeah, we're in Chicago. We have 77 neighborhoods just in the city,
Yeah,
and you're in LA, so obviously you have a similar situation there.
yeah.
Uh,
Pick
Ben
one and
McCall
pick
is
one and
my
dominate, right?
Yeah, that's right. Ben Bacal is my guest today. He is the founder of Revel Real Estate in Beverly Hills. He has a huge presence there, a huge team. Let me tell you more about Ben. Ben is one of the world's top real estate agents with over $4 billion in sales and a client roster that includes celebrities like Matt Damon, Ellen DeGeneres, and Madonna. Known for his discretion and his innovation, Ben helped transform the value of LA's most exclusive neighborhoods, including record-breaking deals like a $94 million Bel Air sale. Since 2005, he's been at the forefront of technology and design in real estate, founding several platforms, including Rela, dubbed the Instagram of real estate by Forbes. Today, Ben leads Revel Real Estate, a company reimagining the agent experience through cutting-edge tools, support, and freedom. With Revel, Ben is empowering the next generation of luxury agents to thrive on their own terms. I want everybody to check out Ben and the Revel team at revelrealestate.com, and also follow Ben on Instagram, which is at Ben Bacal Estates. Ben Bacal Estates, we will have links to his website and Instagram in the show notes. Ben, welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is cool.
Well, this is very cool for me to be able to talk to you because you have a very unique business and a very unique value proposition, and it's rarefied air to some degree. And I've been doing this show for 7 years, and I always really love talking to agents that are so highly specialized. But I really want to get back to the beginning of the story, or get to the beginning of the story, so that our listeners can hear sort of how you started and how you ascended your in building your business. So how did you get into real estate?
My mother's a broker in Canada, and I'd watch her in excruciating pain dealing with her clients. And I said, I want to live a life of extreme angst and anxiety for the rest of
Sure.
my life. So let me do that for a business
Like mother, like son.
be
Yeah,
wildly successful. That's how.
I love that. Yeah, it is funny, but in Toronto is a particularly challenging
Especially
market.
now.
Oh,
People can't sell their houses there.
yeah, right. Yes. Oh,
The bubble has burst.
oh boy. Is your mom still practicing?
She's not, no, but she was great. She's a good communicator. So
So,
maybe that's part of my that's helped me in my trajectory of my career.
yeah, so you moved out to LA when you were what, 17?
Yeah, from Toronto.
And then tell us how you got involved in real estate.
Yeah, I was making movies and going to film school, so I wanted to make enough money to buy IP
Sure.
and starting with short films and then videos. And then I just got addicted to my first deal. After doing a 30-day escrow and working closely with the heads of the family. It was a small deal. I'm sorry, it sounds so grand, but just this family that I was working with in Venice Beach, and it was so cool that they entrusted me with this $1.4 million deal in Venice. It was like, wow, this is cool. I'm 25 years old, and I just closed their sale, and they were so happy, and I got them another property, and that felt really thrilling and powerful. So that the whole process from putting it out there and marketing it and negotiations was exciting. So I was like, okay, I'm going to stop in the entertainment business. I love homes and I love people, and yeah, that's how it happened. I was door knocking in Venice Beach. So my mother, being the agent, she goes, Ben, you need to focus on just the low end of the real estate market. This was just right after the bubble burst here in 2008,
Right.
and my first year of real estate, I made $394,000 my first year,
Amazing.
which I didn't realize that it was amazing until I own a brokerage and have 65 agents, and realize how determined one has to be in order to be at your top, right? So I didn't give up. I didn't let my head hit the pillow every night until I probably talked to, dozens of people and asked hundreds of people during the week if they wanted to sell their home, if not thousands.
Wow. So
That's what
you were literally prospecting just nonstop.
just nonstop. And I was just like, I can't stop door knocking or cold calling until someone says yes that day. And then I would go home and be like, okay. And then I would be dreaming about the people I'm talking about, thinking who I have to call next to follow up with. And back then there wasn't really any CRM systems. Not like that was that long ago, 2005, or there was like High Rise that I used. And they were not that intuitive. Definitely no AI at that point, no machine learning and large language models to like help me, direct my focus onto different people. But I would lose a lot of deals. Like, every week I'll go on the MLS and be like, oh, I forgot that got listed on Noida. That got listed on Millwood. I knocked on that door. I talked to that person. And it was like, I was always beating myself up because I probably could have made $1 million that first year if I just followed up and had like a proper systems in place.
I mean, it's amazing. It's like, as you think back, it's like I shot for the, what is the expression? I shot for the sun. I landed on the moon. It's like you still landed pretty far out there. Like you still had a great year, but as you look back, you go, wow, there were a lot of inconsistencies that I could have done even better. I want to talk about door knocking for a moment, because everyone who's listening who has never door knocked probably cringes at the thought of a door knock. And was that something that was easy for you? And curious to know like what your approach was there.
Well, it's all about your approach, right? Like you said, it's all about your intention. So I often went out with intention of a client that I was actually genuinely looking for. So it came from a place of authenticity.
Yeah.
And it also was very conversational. So I'll like take out agents that I recruit, that come to the office, even if they've done 50, $100 million, or maybe they've done 10 or 20. I talk about door knocking. They go, will you go door knocking with me? And I'm like, yesterday I was like, yeah, I'll come door knocking with you if you promise to go 5 more times without me and talk to 20 people a day.
Wow.
So it's the approach. It's I go out and it's more conversational. It's, I'll walk by a door. I'll see, it'll look a pretty house, and I'll knock. I'm like, hey, just want to let you know, my client was looking in your neighborhood. Your house is so gorgeous. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, how long have you lived here for? Like, whatever, a couple of years. I'm like, listen, I know maybe you probably don't want to, but if you ever want to sell, I've got a great buyer. He'd love your house. I'd love to come see it. And then they'll be like, well, thank you. We're staying here. We're leaving feet first. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. Well, if you have any friends or, family that want to move in the neighborhood, I have a lot of off-market deals. Maybe I can get your number. And then I'll pull my phone out and I'll say, what's your number? And I'll say it out loud. That way they actually give me the number, because most of the time they'll say, leave your card in the mailbox. But it's more, I would honestly say, with me smiling and mirroring how they're reacting to me, will create an instant rapport and a trust that will hopefully cultivate into a phone number, a contact, an email, a follow-up, and then they become my friend, and I provide them value over the years. And I just, either I provide them value by bringing them a buyer, which they want to make money, or if they're not ready, you just want to create a relationship.
Sure.
And not be a pushy salesman. So I think I attribute a lot of that door knocking success. I wasn't too salesy, and I was direct to the point, and I was actually confident, even in my early days, of what my intention was and what I wanted to accomplish. And it came off as important to listen to me, what I had to say to these people. There was a day when there wasn't rings anymore, so the ring camera doesn't help too much. But
that's true. Yeah, it probably makes it a little bit more challenging. But I wanted to sort of unpack this a little bit, and because I've done 700 of these episodes over the last 7 years, you might be Well, my memory is terrible. So you might not be the first person that I've ever interviewed for door knocking, but let's say you are, because I think you actually are. And I do want to talk about this because it is an absolute no-go for so many people to even consider. And the way that you described it, by the way, what I anticipated you saying before we got to door knocking was, well, yeah, I worked in the entertainment industry. I was behind the scenes. I was, with all these production companies, and I just kind of leveraged that network to build my business. And you did not say that. You said, oh, I went out and knocked on strangers' doors. And I was like, oh my God, how did you do that? And the way that you just explained it made all the sense in the world, because it really is kind of a low stakes situation. You're not asking for a sale. You're not selling a product or even a service. You're literally saying, oh my, I have somebody that is looking in this neighborhood, or I just helped somebody in this neighborhood. I need more homes like yours. So when you are ready, please call me. And it's kind of an easy yes. There's not really any commitment they're giving other than, wow, this person just flattered my property and gave me a nice compliment. And also, you're a super nice person. So
Thank you.
that also,
I don't quite understand the apprehension with getting out there, because especially if you live in sunny California, you have no excuse.
yeah,
I mean, most people are sitting at their computer hurting their back all day. You can get out there and feel the sun, get some vitamin D, and go talk to 20 random people. And it doesn't have to be so like door to door, door to door. You can just
sure.
see the houses that you like. I listen, I door knocked, and then I elevated my game and I cut my teeth on more expensive properties. That's also another problem. People are so eager to get into the luxury. They see like these high flying ticket items being sold for 20, 30, 40, and they're like, I want to go there. It took me like 5 years to start sell my first $6 million home. Some people, there's been anomalies that have like gone right to the top and sold 10, $20 million homes within 2 years, but it took me a minute. But I built my database. So for instance, I door knocked in, I guess it was probably like 2010. And that house was owned by a certain media mogul. And I stayed in touch with them. And I called them, every year to see if I could bring a buyer. He ended up selling the property to a basketball star. So I missed out on that sale, but I kept on calling. And guess what? I sold that home last year for 100, actually $115 million,
Amazing.
all because I door knocked and met that relationship and stayed in touch. And yeah, that's that. But there's another part of that equation. It's your social etiquette and your emotional maturity.
Yes.
And if either you have that or you don't, you know how to communicate with people. And it's not a high pressure situation, it's just the way you talk to people. My dad's a psychoanalyst. I come from a family, I guess I'm blessed in that sense, that I'm fortunate to have grown up in, a middle class family in Canada, and I'm surrounded myself with other highly intelligent people that had common sense and courtesy and decency in the world, and appreciated, what it is to have emotions and be cognizant of other people's feelings, and let people be heard instead of talking at them. So it's that, like, it's how people want to communicate. And that's why I don't think, AI is not going to take this whole business away, because people want that emotional connection. And that's what realtors give. And they're able to really, and it's a huge at stake business. It's a huge, it's your, it's often 30-40% of people's net worth. So they want to be able to talk to somebody, right?
Absolutely. And I also, again, I'm going back to this approach of the cold open, which is essentially what you're doing. But what you're doing is it's a very smart play, because it, for example, I live in a condo building, so it would be harder for somebody to do this for me. In fact, we'd have a security issue if somebody was able to knock on my door. But the idea of maybe receiving a letter in the mail, or phone call, possibly. I'm sure my phone number's out there. And I don't think everybody knows that I have a real estate license. I don't use my license, so the irony is I don't even use my license. But I don't think that's not the reason I'm not getting calls. I don't think that's the reason I'm not getting calls. And I suspect, it would be very flattering if somebody said, "Hey, I know you moved in 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and you're, I don't know what your life situation
We have
is,
a
but
buyer, we have family, we have to
yeah,"
give
or
an
just to be like,
example.
"I love
By the
the."
way, that is that letter thing. You just gave me the kernel of the idea. That's a form of prospecting.
Sure.
If you're not door knocking it every day, then you're not cold calling. That a letter, you can write a letter and you can be very specific about who that person is, right? The personification of that family.
Yep.
So it is real. And you could say, my client's looking for this kind of property, which is your property and your
Yep.
address, handwritten.
Yep.
And if you put in that work and handwrite letters, your wrist is going to be hurting by the end of the day.
100.
Your feet are going to be in pain from door knocking. You're going to be tired. You're going to too much. You got to put more sunscreen on. You're thirsty. You need to go to the bathroom. Your throat is tired. You're like done with the rejection. That's when you know you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
And if you're not 10 times better than anyone out there in this business,
Yeah.
then this is a part-time game, and that's okay. Maybe people just they want to you want to live a life of uncertainty, and you don't want to build generational wealth. Then that's where you want to be. But if you want to be at the top of your game, you have to be 10 times better than everyone else. And there's very few people. That's why they say 90% of the business is done by 10% at the top,
Yeah.
right? Because they work their tail off. They're consistent.
Yeah, they do. I've interviewed some of the very top agents in the world, including your now adding you to the list as well. And I've been doing that for years. And I do ask, like, what's your secret? And usually I just outwork people. It's like I'm not necessarily
surgery. You gotta give the gift of the gab. Be relatable. Be a kind person. Smile. Be confident. Understand your market. Know the values, and talk to 20 people a day, and follow up with them. That's it. It's as simple as that. And then you have to get out there and make connections. And if you build a good reputation, and other agents respect you, you'll sell a lot of property that is not on the open market. So you can match people to properties, and you can do that at any price point. So that's also vital. I think building relationships, and I think one of my sellers who was one of my buyers, he's a buyer and seller. He taught me an important lesson. He said, Ben, this business is about sharing, right? You want to share. So, if I'm being interviewed for a listing that expired, that's, maybe, that's fair game. But if you want to work with everyone in your community as agents, they're your lifeline, right? Then the buyers and sellers will come, but you really want to work closely with other agents, and you want to be sharing with them. A lot at my company Revel, if I see an agent come in and he is everything that we're talking about, he or she, and they're putting in the effort and they're putting in the work and they're consistent, and I will actually put them on my listing and offer them like a service fee so they can build their repertoire of getting to 10, 20 million. So they have a resume.
Yeah.
I did that myself. I didn't have anyone.
It's very generous
to do that for me, but that's what I do at my company. You'll see, if you go to any one of my listings, you'll see me in LA1 and LA2, which is in the multiple listing service in Los Angeles, my people in my office. That way they have a resume. So sharing is important. Wow. Does that make sense? Sharing, not even that respect, just like in the commissions. Of course, as a broker, we get in the middle of, the commission disputes within the offices,
Sure.
What was done, who walked through the property, and so forth. And that's always something fun to navigate through.
But the idea of you at least putting them on the official listing as LA1 and 2 is really a generous thing. Again, maybe other people I've interviewed do that. I've never heard anybody say they do it with basically every listing, especially for more junior agents. I can't imagine what that must do to the loyalty these agents must have for Revel and you.
I don't know if people know this, but if they look at the MLS, they can see that I do that. But you have to be with me for a certain amount of
Sure, of course,
to gain that trust, or if I actually see that you're a go-getter, right? That, you're a go-getter, and you're making that happen, and you're closing sales. That's most
Right.
important, right? Because if you're not closing, then you pretty much know if they're putting in that 110%, right?
Absolutely. And I'm sure when you get interviewed, you probably get asked questions about celebrities. I'm not going to ask you questions about specific celebrities because, they're just people like us. However, I am curious, is working with celebrities, a different experience than a, traditional, buyer seller? Are there more masters to serve? Are there managers and agents that also are part of the experience, or are you working more specifically one-on-one directly with the celebrity?
Yeah, they're definitely not like us. There's an expectation of where I want to be in my head is trumps everything else. So you have to cater to that personality, and just be mindful of the fact that any request is eh, as amazing as it is, you have to cater to it,
Sure.
and with no opinion. um yeah, it's definitely, it's a bit hard. It's not so sexy. I'll tell you
Sure.
that. It's
Sure.
not
It's it,
so
it
sexy,
well,
especially in, like, if you're talking about celebrity, like fame, like actor, influencer, that kind of thing. Um, it's interesting, but it's fun. I mean, they're great people, and there was a reason why, like, when you're around them, like, there were some the presence that they
sure.
it's igni- it's amazing to be around. That's fun. But it's also hard work.
Yeah. Well,
So,
too, it's especially with some celebrities that just have that garner a high price point for their acting or music services or whatever in entertainment they're doing, is they are getting catered to, and they have a lot of people surrounding them that are going to help them throughout their day. And you're right, they're probably, and it's not that there's anything wrong with this. They're just used to being able to get things and having other people do those assignments because that's their world. And I imagine you having to step into that world is yeah, but probably a bit of a challenge initially. Is like, okay, now I'm part of this team, and I get to do some of the actions that maybe other non-celebrities
yeah,
wouldn't think to ask.
I mean, there's some, like you mentioned Matt Damon. When we were showing property to him, he would have a whole conversation with, like, the butler or the maid in the house. Like, where's Matt? He's over there. He's like having a 10-minute conversation, like, just he just ingratiates himself, and he's just
Sure.
a guy of gratitude, so warm and loving.
Yeah.
Um, and the flip side of that, you have clients that are, all of them are really like that. But at the end of the day, they look at you as a purpose to make things happen.
Sure.
And if they feel like, you're taking advantage, or it, you're done
Yeah.
pretty quickly. So
Because
you
they
gotta,
deal with that all the time. People do try to take advantage. They do try to, glom on or get something from them, and they probably are constantly evaluating: is this person with me because they authentically like me as an individual and they want to help me, or they want to be my friend, or are they with me because I'm popular
sure.
and well to do? So yeah, they probably have a very tuned in sense of that, and you being as authentic as you probably are a breath of fresh air for sometimes when these people might have to meet other. I guess I bet they're just constantly evaluating: does this person really want to help me, or are they wanting
Yeah.
to help
The
themselves?
celebrities, like, not just like TV personalities, but like heads of industry. I consider
Sure,
those, in my mind, celebrities, and I'm, equally as, like, in awe and nervous around, even me. After all
sure,
these years, showing Jeff Bezos a house. He wasn't my client, but I showed him a couple of houses, and being in his presence was pretty cool. And the head of, you know different social networks, that, when they came around, I was like, okay, this guy, like, is like the 30th richest person in the world, the 10
Yeah.
richest person in the world, the power that they yield is pretty cool. And that they're looking at me and they're asking me some questions that are pivotal to his to his calculation. So that's kind of wild, right?
Sure. Well, especially like a Jeff Bezos who's so intelligent when it comes to finance and business. Obviously, right? So we all know this, and I that would be tremendously intimidating. I suspect because, but there are things he doesn't know, and that's why you're there. And obviously, for him to look at you as
He knows everything, but like other people, yeah, I mean, they all know everything. They have everything at their fingertips. But what you're bringing to them is the opportunity of the opportunity of properties that are not maybe on the market. Um,
I'm
and
I'm
I think as a
curious.
new agent, that's a good way to like really get in there is by putting in the hard work and finding inventory because that's what our business is all about. It's
Sure.
really just finding inventory and and trying to and getting contracts to exclusives to sell that inventory and then connecting the dots.
You have a really unique sort of insight into these titans of industry, and you work with celebrities, but you also work with people who are in the business world at the top of their respective fields, and I suspect over time, you've probably learned a lot as well about either running your own business or just navigating life or doing things more effectively. I suspect, in addition to obviously being an incredibly effective agent, you've probably just learned from these people just being around them and watching them operate.
I did learn. I guess a big lesson that I've learned, and I've learned it over time, is to stay super focused on one core business to be successful. I think that's important, you know. So, and I've deviated from that because I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and it's bitten me, distracted me, but it has also opened up opportunities to meet other entrepreneurs, to have those conversations, to be able to have those conversations with tech founders and glean from them and understand their business and what they're up against and what their stress points are. So all that it's been a life. I did my own business school. Maybe
Yeah.
it cost me a lot of money, but I went to business school and I paid for it, and I learned my own my own P&L and how to work that.
Yeah, boy, it's so interesting that the access you have to these people really helps you probably sharpen your skills because number one, you have to have really sharp tools to be able to provide service to these individuals, but also they have sharp tools in their own respective fields, and you get to sort of see them operate. I think that wow, what a
It's
blessing
so
that
cool.
is.
Honestly, the coolest part of this business is the fact that um, when I'm representing these titans of the industry, and I get to hear about what they're doing day to day and the way that they created their legacy. It's just it's so wild. It's so cool. It's like real life chapters of like reading these amazing biographies of these people in real life, and they tell you what they're doing, and then I ask them, how'd you get there, and where'd you start, and the stories are so cool. Now there's podcasts all over that you can watch these people do the same thing, but it's great to like be next to them in real life, and you're instead of one of a million, you're right beside them, um, and that's pretty cool.
I
That's really
love that singular focus suggestion that you gave is really so important. The science and the data's in. We cannot multitask, whether it's doing just little to dos during the day, or whether it's focusing on our business or whatever projects we're into.
Yeah.
You
Well, I have ADD, so I'm wondering if the people you've interviewed, do a lot of them have like the successful agents, do they
tons,
have ADD? So
almost all of them.
right,
Yeah.
there you go. So, I'm pretty focused on all the questions you're asking me, but as you're talking to me, as you're talking with me, I'm thinking of like a few other things in my head. But what that's enabling me to do is put them down or execute on everything really quickly. So instead of just doing one task, I can execute on multiple tasks,
Sure.
or at least write them down so I will execute. My mind's
For
always
sure.
going. So I'm not sure if that's called multitasking. So
Yeah, I
as
think
long
there's
as
a
you're doing it in the same field, you're
right.
not doing it like all different things. But yeah, I'm able. It's interesting how much we're able to execute during the day, and I think AI 100%. I use that in my it streamlines everything. Like I used to, my big part of my success was writing a comparative market analysis for my clients to understand why am I paying 20 million when the highest sale in the neighborhood was 10,
Right.
and I had to pull comps and do this and then write explanations. So now you can be like, you can say an inaudible to 5 sentences that make somewhat of sense. For some reason, AI understands me and they're able to like, boom, and I can send a message, right? Or if I have an idea of like why I'm convincing someone of an opportunity, or you can, AI will help navigate that, or where I should be going during the day. That's quicker. Um, it's helpful to streamline things and make just go. Your time is money, right? Where
Yeah.
you're putting your time in, right? And you want to be prospecting, so as much as that as possible.
Do you have a particular structure to your day? And is I understand your days probably look wildly different from one another, but in general, do you have a structure that is consistent?
Yeah, it's working out every 5 to 6 days a week in the morning, and it's spending time with my dog. So he's happy, and that gives me some happiness and love. So I do that, and then I'm head to the office to follow up with the thousands of people that I've built over the years. That's my goal. I'm just talking to people all day long until something clicks. And then obviously there's showings that I have to go to. I'm off. I'm lucky by getting listings and putting on my agents onto being LA1 or 2 to help service the deal, so they can open the house for me and get it ready. And if I show up and I help sell that house, and then I'm back at networking, and everyone who I pushed out against the when I mean pushed out, when everyone that I reached out to will start texting me back, and I have to talk to all those people, and then it's just rinse and repeat. It's very repetitive, it's tedious, but it's consistency. And I think I know in life, when things are monotonous and the same, you're actually happier. So if you create a
100%.
routine every day, no matter how boring it is, and then it's good to I go to Europe for once a year for 3 weeks, and I detach, and then I come back rejuvenated and ready to go. But I wasn't doing that for so long. I mean, for 10 years, I was just working straight. I didn't take any vacations at all.
Sure.
I refuse to until I can go first class.
Well, hey, that's a great marker. And I think the consistency is the fundamentals, right? Where we're talking fundamentals, we're talking the boring, repetitive tasks, the push-ups of real estate, so to speak, that nobody like. I don't want to do a wall sit, but it's a really good idea for my legs.
Yeah.
And I was doing them yesterday, and I was, it's just in the middle of a wall sit, this isometric exercise that by the end of it, my legs are shaking and
Yeah.
I just want to collapse. And I go, oh, I only have another 5 seconds, or my trainer's telling me I have another 5 seconds, and I'm like, I can't do another 5 seconds. And then I get to that end, and then I collapse.
There
And
you
I
go.
think I
Perfect
think
analogy.
yeah. Well, it's funny because I think this is the least fun thing I could possibly be doing right now.
But the
It,
outcome of it means you're going to be more mobile as you get older,
yes.
and you'll be able to enjoy life in your later years, in your golden ages. You'll be more
And
mobile.
I'm pushing against resistance, which is good for my mind, it's good for my body, obviously good for my muscles. But more important than anything is I'm doing the hard good thing, right? And that's what you are talking about, is doing the hard good things that maybe they're not sexy and fun. Sometimes they might be, but often they're repetitive,
Yeah.
they're monotonous,
Yeah.
but they work.
Yeah,
And
and on top of that, then now to align ourselves to a different triangle of success. We've talked about consistency, doing things that are difficult for you, pushing to all that all that stuff that gets you there. But then you want to align yourself with that's with someone who has done it, right? And
Yes.
that's why there's teams. People are so gravitating towards all these teams these days, because if you're a new agent, or if you're been in the business, you're not even new for 5-10 years, it's good to leverage other people's success and have them in your corner in case you need to lean on them to get that listing. And that's a big part of my business. um, Back in the day when I went for my first listing, I brought in top agents, and it was better to get 50% of something than nothing. And
Ah,
a big mistake I see new agents here, there's, I've hired agents, and I'm like, okay, I can come to the listing with you. You just door knocked and met or cold called, and I talked to this guy, I talked to this guy. I'm like, great, set that meeting up. And then they don't, and then they fail. They're out of the business because they're so like hoarding their chestnuts. And it's
yes.
what I said at the beginning. It's about sharing. It's about leveraging. So, team up with a top agent like myself. Come to my office. I'm your business partner. Don't go be a business partner with another newbie agent, because that agent is willing to go door knocking with you because you don't have it in you to do it. Go do it yourself and team up with a top agent who's at a higher level than you,
Yeah.
higher vibrations, higher level, to get those listings, because you don't have a resume. So that's important. That's important to do, and that's why everyone is gravitating towards teams. um, but it becomes a bit of a crutch after a while if you're just doing the team thing for years and years and years. But again, that brings me back to like, how far do you want to go? Do you want to be 2 times better than everybody else? 5 times? It's 10 times. 10 times means you're a millionaire. 5 times means you'll be breaking even, or in life, and every day, right? It's going to be a struggle. Depends where you want to be, So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Teaming up. That's I did that in my early years. I teamed up. Hey, and today you'll look on listings, and sometimes I'll have to bring in another top agent, because I know I'm competing against someone who sold 8 billion, and I need to bring in another guy who's done 4 or 3, so it measures up, right?
Yeah.
So it's about sharing. We don't need all of them. You just want to like get the notches on the belt of success. So the more signs you have out on the street, the more you're going to get hired. It's just visibility, right? There's a great
Yeah.
agent in Venice Beach, and that agent takes all of her listings throughout all of Los Angeles and puts her signs out, so it looks like she monopolizes like the area, like 30 signs everywhere. Some of these signs are like, these listings are probably in another state, but
Right.
it's all about perception, right?
Right.
I even give my Bentley car to my agents to go to a listing appointment. So if they want to have, if they don't want me to go in the car with them, they should have me go. I let them drive.
Yeah. I
So
I like this.
whatever it takes, right?
I
Not
think
whatever it takes.
yeah, there's a persistency, but this idea of not seeing a finite amount of opportunity. Like you don't see finite, you see infinite, and you're not worried about sharing because there's other opportunities that will come as a result of sharing. And the givers get mentality. If I give, I get. And that is obviously served you incredibly well. And so much of us want to fix, manage, and control the things that are within our purview, and nope, I don't want anyone to touch those chestnuts. And you're right, it's a mistake. I guess it's not a mistake if you're not willing to see the world as infinite. If you see the world as there's only a finite amount of resources, then yeah, I guess maybe you should hoard them. But that's not really the pathway to success, or at least not maybe the best pathway to success. So
Yeah, I think you need to do that, and you need to get things in writing, because often people are not held to,
yeah,
everything in writing. It's like,
yes, good,
even like, I'm going to go do an open house with you, and sit the open house. What does it look like if a buyer walks through the door?
yeah,
Because in our business, there's so many like nuances, like where did that person derive from, and who worked the hardest on a
yep,
deal, and when you co-list the property, it's not about like who worked the hardest, it's just about getting the listing and being a partnership, because you all bring in your strengths here and there. But putting things in writing is vital.
really
And
smart.
and you have to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be left with absolutely nothing. I put a deal together, one of my agents, and I was like, we need to get something in writing. And they're like, no, no, no. And this happened so many times, but I got so busy. I went to Europe, and we put the deal together. It's a $15 million development deal, and we're supposed to get a fee for putting them together. They're now together, and they're, of course, I'm like, so are we going to get paid? I'm like, guys, I don't think we're going to get paid. We asked one of them, I'm like, are you going to pay me the fee? Yes. But the other person said no, and we're not going to get paid. So we just lost $300,000 just because they didn't do that. Or back in the day, I showed a property in Malibu 3 times, and I said to the agent, we should probably get that single party, a single party listing agreement is.
Sure.
For that one listing, if that one buyer buys it, we get a percentage.
Yep.
No, Ben, Mr. David doesn't need to. He's my best friend for 10 years. He would never go around me. Well, guess what? 3 months later, it sold for $70 million. And that was a $3 million commission gone. I'm like, I didn't realize it was going to happen like that. I'm just so surprised. He didn't call me. I'm like, do you remember that conversation we had?
Yeah.
You learn these lessons, put things in writing, and that's why you have like an independent contractor agreement, right? You gotta get everything you do put in writing and sign off on things. And then you're going to be in a good, and you won't go through arbitration and all the stuff, the stressful stuff that bothers you,
We have a lot of our listeners are on the West Coast, and obviously we have listeners in everywhere. About 95% of our listeners are US. So we have probably listeners in every state, I would hope. And so they have clients that may be moving in and out or into, they may be a feeder market into your area. And of course you have clients that move out to other areas, get second homes, other properties. So, if one of our listeners says, I might be able to, have a synergy with Ben and his team and might be able to provide value. What's the best way somebody should reach out to you if they want to connect with you?
I think my cell phone is pretty cool, or my email, Ben at Revel Real Estate. Let's start there. Ben at Revel Real Estate.
Perfect.
.com. So that's BEN and then at revelrealestate.com. Also, if you're in town and you're in Beverly Hills in that Platinum Triangle area, we're 9320 Wilshire Boulevard, and you see a Revel Real Estate sign. We've got 5,000 square feet, the gorgeous office right by Rodeo and Wilshire. So I hope to see you and meet you there. We got great coffee. I pride myself on my coffee. I'm a coffee snob. So come have a cup of coffee and stop in. I'd love to or take a stroll down to Beverly or Rodeo, and we'll get a coffee together.
If there's any listeners of ours who are agents in your area at maybe another firm who are really liking what they're hearing and thinking, I want to earn a spot on the Revel real estate team, what's the best way they should go about saying, hey, I have something of value to offer you, and how could they reach out as well via email?
That'd be great. Ben at revelrealestate.com.
What do you look for? You have a huge team. What is it? Because I imagine you do not, of course, take everyone who comes your way, probably very selective, but what is it that you most look for in an agent?
I look for someone who is basically everything we're talking about, in the sense that they're not scattered and they have one directive. And when I ask them things like, where do you think you're going to get your book of business from? And they explain like one channel or 2 channels of what they're going to do. And then I lead them into seeing, like, are they actually going to execute on that channel? If it's, all the things we talked about. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
Quiet.
We're talking about hyper focus. Yeah. The ability to, just like you said with Titans of Industry, the ability to singularly sort of say, I'm doing this thing, and if you want to be on board with me while I do this thing, you can. I'm going to do this thing regardless.
Yeah, and also just see if it's like a culture fit.
Sure.
If they're just good people, and it's someone that, like, I feel like it's not going to create any drama in their world that could impact us. Just want a positive environment that we could all feel like we can make connections and share inventory with, and nothing is that kind of thing. I'm looking for a culture fit and someone who's go-getter, motivated, and this isn't a part-time job, it's a full-time job.
Sure.
And they have a goal of what they want to do. Like, are you looking to do 10 million this year, 12 million? How are you going to get there? And then let them speak and say and dig their own hole if they're good, sensible people that are rational and thoughtful and mindful, and have carry some emotional intelligence and also that they have thick skin, because it's a tough business,
Oh, sure.
get a roll with the punches here, right? Don't take anything personally. In the beginning of my career, I took things so personally, but I learned many lessons, but and also just to be kind and sharing, right? All those things. That's what I look for, tenacious people. I would love to also, I'm meeting agents that have done 20, 30, and they're at 30 million. They want to get to 100 million, and they're like, why can't I get past this point?
Sure.
I am really good at explaining what you need to do to get there,
Right.
and to create those systems, and to redirect your focus and bring in other help to get there. My company facilitates that help in order for people to be a rainmaker more every day in their career. So those agents that are at 30, they're trying to get up, or at 20 million, they're at 10 million, and they can't get past that point. I provide coaching myself. And if they listen, I provide more coaching. If they execute on what I'm telling them, I continue, because it's going to help my business bring in more inventory and more sales, right?
I love it. Ben Bacal is our guest, and he himself, being one of the top real estate agents, realtors in the world, really. Also, of course, here in the U.S., Ben is a remarkable agent himself. Also a team lead. He owns his company. He has lots of agents who work with him, and he is an agent of generosity and tenacity and authenticity, is what I heard today.
Oh, wow.
And that is a recipe for success. It clearly has worked well for Ben, and I know our listeners have gotten a lot out of this, Ben. So thank you. Also,
Thank you
that
so
you're
much.
this real normal person too. That you even though you are at the top of the mountain, you feel very accessible, and so we appreciate you sharing your story with our audience. And for anyone that wants to reach out to Ben, you can follow him on Instagram, Ben Bacal Estates. We'll have a link to that in the show notes, and his website for his team, revelrealestate.com. You can learn all about how they operate. And if you do have something of value for Ben, and if you feel like you have some synergy there, reach out. Ben's about sharing. So
I'm accessible, and I'm there. I'm there. As long as you're wearing a green shirt, so we're both wearing green shirts today.
we are. We are.
It's all good.
So green shirts only. And so on behalf of our audience, thank you, Ben. And on behalf of Ben and myself, thank you to the audience.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been fun.
We are so grateful to have you, and Ben and I are grateful to have the audience here support our show. If you can think of just one other agent that needs to hear this episode, and I guarantee you can, because right now it's a tough market, and if there is any sort of agent that you can think of that's struggling, this would be a great episode to share with them, to show that it is possible to keep going, to make it work. We would appreciate that. Send our link over to them. We're everywhere podcasts are served. Also, I just started a short form video series on all the different social channels. Just search for Keeping It Real. I do 60-second AI broker prompts. So for agents, I give you a prompt about 3 times a week that will help you. You can dump it right into ChatGPT and help run your business more effectively. So follow us on all the different social channels. You'll see those videos there. Ben Bacal, thank you so much. Thank you to our sponsors. We will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.